Hello again, my friend. I was hoping you'd find your way back here tonight. As you settle into the quiet darkness of your room, I want to take your imagination somewhere far beneath the surface, to a hidden world of color and stillness that breathes just like a sleeping forest. Imagine the weight of the day dissolving as we drift downward, where the water holds us gently and every sound becomes soft and distant. So before we journey any further, take a moment to nestle into your sheets. Let the back of your neck feel perfectly supported by your pillow, release the tension in your jaw, and exhale a long, slow breath that carries away everything you no longer need to hold. Tonight, I'll be sharing a series of quiet observations about one of the ocean's most intricate masterpieces, a realm so vibrant and alive it's often compared to a flourishing rainforest. We'll drift through these facts one by one, and if sleep arrives to carry you away before we finish, that is exactly how this is meant to work. If nights like these help you find a moment of peace, subscribing is a gentle way of letting me be here for you whenever you need a companion in the dark. Now, let's slip beneath the waves and begin. Coral reefs are crafted by tiny, delicate animals called polyps, each one a soft, translucent architect no larger than a teacup. From the surrounding water, they draw dissolved minerals and, with a quiet, patient chemistry, transform them into shimmering, stony skeletons of calcium carbonate. Imagine millions of these minuscule creatures all working side by side in the dim blue light, adding their own tiny chambers to a growing, living citadel. These homes layer upon one another over centuries and millennia, like pages in a stone book, building vast underwater cities so immense and pale they can be distinguished from the darkness of space. It is a slow-motion dance of creation, a fragile permanence built one heartbeat at a time. Stretching for over 2,300 kilometers along the sun-drenched coast of Australia lies the Great Barrier Reef, the largest living structure on our planet. From a distance, it appears as a floating mosaic of turquoise and sapphire, a breathtaking jumble of nearly 3,000 individual reef systems and hundreds of idyllic sandy islands. Picture yourself drifting above this sprawling metropolis, where the shallow lagoons reflect the sky and the deeper channels hold a profound ancient silence. This colossal structure, built entirely by the living, is a testament to the power of small things working together across an almost unthinkable stretch of time. It rests there like a sleeping giant, its gentle breath moving the tides. Hidden within the translucent tissues of the coral, in a partnership older than language, live microscopic algae called zooxanthellae. These tiny golden guests harness the sunlight filtering down through the water, performing a quiet, steady process of photosynthesis. In doing so, they share a warm, sugary energy with their coral hosts, gifting them the fuel to build their great stone palaces. This gentle exchange creates the vibrant living colors of the reef, a soft internal glow that sustains life in the most nutrient-poor waters. It is a silent pact, a perfect balance of giving and receiving that turns simple sunbeams into the foundation of an empire. Though they cover less than a single % of the vast ocean floor, coral reefs hum with a staggering variety of life, earning them the name Rainforests of the Sea. They are a sanctuary and a cradle, providing shelter for an estimated quarter of all marine life, a statistic that feels almost miraculous in its generosity. In the quiet corridors of a reef, a sea turtle might drift by with ancient, knowing eyes, while a shimmering school of silver fish moves as one, flickering like a mirror catching the last light of day. Every crevice is a home, every shadow a resting place, and the water itself seems to thicken with the pulse of a million hidden lives. A floating log might be a resting spot, a swirl of sand a hidden creature breathing. In the deepest, coldest, most patient reaches of the ocean, some coral polyps have unlocked the secret to a lifespan that feels almost eternal. Certain deep-sea species, black corals and gold corals, have been found to live for more than 4,000 years, making them among the oldest continuous creatures on Earth. They grow with a slow and rhythmic grace, adding the thinnest of layers, year upon silent year, in the absolute darkness. Their stony rings record the history of the ocean itself, a quiet archive of changing temperatures and ancient currents. To gaze upon one is to look at a living being that was already old when the pyramids were just a dream, a quiet master of patience holding its stony breath in the still, cold water. Deep beneath the surface, where the water turns to a soft blue twilight, you might encounter the brain coral. Its name comes from the winding, labyrinth-like patterns etched across its stony surface, grooves that seem to trace the quiet thoughts of the ocean itself. These patterns are not carved by any hand but grown over decades, as the coral deposits its skeleton in slow, circular ripples. The structure is sturdy, a fortress of calcium carbonate, yet it offers a gentle sanctuary. Tiny shrimp, delicate brittle stars, and shy blennies tuck themselves into its furrows, finding a stable and quiet home hidden in the folds of this underwater mind. It's a place where the sea whispers secrets into the crevices, and life nestles close to the ancient breathing rock. As the light fades further into the deep, a different kind of wonder stirs: bioluminescence. Many corals possess a quiet, shimmering strategy, a way of softly glowing in the dim expanse. They create light not to dazzle, but to communicate in a silent language, or to lure tiny drifting prey with a gentle, beckoning sparkle. When you gaze across a dark reef, these lights come alive, a floating galaxy of soft, scattered points. It's not a harsh glare, but a peaceful glow, like starlight that fell into the sea and remained, casting a tender radiance across the ocean floor. Each pulse of light is a breath, a whisper of connection in the vast, hushed darkness. In this tranquil world, few relationships are as harmonious as that of the clownfish and the sea anemone. The anemone drapes its flowing tentacles like a silken curtain, each tip tipped with a dreamy, swaying grace. The clownfish, painted in bands of orange and white, glides safely among these gentle arms, immune to their quiet sting. It is a dance of mutual trust, a quiet harmony where the fish finds refuge and in return it keeps the anemone clean and nourished with scraps and careful movements. Watching them is like witnessing a whispered promise between two souls, a soft exchange of care in the shimmering blue. There is no hurry here, only the rhythm of a partnership as old as the tides. Closer to land, fringing reefs grow softly along the edges of continents and islands. They rise from the shoreline like a natural cushion, a living barrier that absorbs the vast energy of the rolling open sea. When waves approach, they are met not with resistance but with a patient, gradual embrace, their power gently diminished into a frothy, calming sigh. Beyond the reef, the sandy beach feels that transformation. The surf arrives as a quiet caress rather than a thunderous crash. The reef stands as a silent guardian, protecting the quiet shores and creating lagoons of still, turquoise water where the world feels held in a moment of perpetual peace. Finally, as dusk settles and the sun's last rays melt into the horizon, the reef transforms into a peaceful midnight garden. Creatures that hid during the day begin to emerge. Tiny lobsters tiptoe from crevices, feather duster worms unfurl their translucent plumes, and the water becomes a drifting tapestry of soft, unhurried movement. Sea fans, like delicate lace-like trees, sway indolently in the rhythmic currents, their branches tracing circles in the dark. There is a profound stillness here, a feeling of the ocean breathing in its sleep, and you are a quiet witness to a world that comes alive when no one is watching. Everything moves with the gentle pulse of the deep, a lullaby of subtle motion and hidden life. Imagine for a moment that you are drifting high above the earth, gazing down at the vast blue expanse of the ocean. From that silent vantage point, there is a living structure so immense it is clearly visible, a pale shimmering ribbon winding through the coral sea. This is the Great Barrier Reef, stretching over 2,300 kilometers. It is not one solid mass, but a breathtaking mosaic of thousands of individual reefs and hundreds of tiny islands, as if a brush of delicate watercolors has been laid gently upon the turquoise water. Each speck of color you see from that height is a world in itself, drifting peacefully in the quiet embrace of the sea. That gentle color, that soft glow of life, comes from a secret alliance deep within the coral. Corals share their bodies with millions of microscopic algae called zooxanthellae. These tiny golden-green cells live tucked inside the coral's delicate tissues like tiny guests in a sunlit room. In a quiet, rhythmic exchange, the algae catch sunlight and turn it into energy, giving the coral the sustenance it needs. In return, the coral provides a safe, sunlit home, and it is this partnership that paints the reef in its warm, glowing colors. A silent, sun-powered dance of life. It is a quiet, almost invisible bargain, but it is the very engine of the reef's vibrant life. If you were to drift closer, down through the water, you might wonder at those colorful formations that look like stone gardens. But they are not stones at all. Each branch, each dome, each delicate fan is made up of thousands of tiny animals called polyps. Picture a single polyp, a soft, almost flower-like creature, its small tentacles floating gently in the current, catching drifting particles of food. Over the course of its life, it extracts calcium carbonate from the sea and secretes a hard, protective cup around its body, a tiny limestone sanctuary. Generation after generation, these cups build upon one another, layer upon patient layer, rising from the seafloor in shapes as intricate as cathedrals. This slow, communal architecture can endure for thousands of years, a quiet city built by the most humble of hands. Among these forms, one seems to cradle the very essence of memory. The brain coral unfolds across the reef floor in winding, labyrinth-like ridges that mirror the folds of a human mind. These slow, thoughtful structures seem almost to be thinking, their deep grooves catching shadows and light in a pattern that invites quiet contemplation. Imagine the stories those ridges could tell, the centuries of calm and storm folded into stone. And they have a patience we can scarcely imagine. A single brain coral can live for over 900 years. Within those concentric rings, like the pages of an ancient silent book, they record the subtle shifts of the ocean, of temperature and time, holding history in stone. And all this intricate architecture becomes a gentle cradle for new life. Reefs are the nurseries of the sea, offering a soft, sheltered place for the youngest and most vulnerable. Picture a tiny silvery fish, no bigger than your fingernail, finding refuge among the intricate branches of a staghorn coral. The coral branches form a tender lattice, a tiny labyrinth where the water moves like a slow lullaby. Here, the current softens, the bright open water fades, and the world becomes a safe, quiet haven, where a small creature can grow, hidden from the vastness of the deep blue. Day by day, in this hidden, sun-dappled nursery, the next generation of the reef takes its first tender breaths. In the whispering groves of coral, the ocean gently rocks its children to sleep. There are moments, deep beneath the moonlit surface, when an entire reef holds its breath. Some species of coral wait for a precise signal, the whispered pull of the lunar cycle, to release their future in a single silent wave. On that one chosen night, when the water is still and the tides are just right, millions of tiny glowing gametes drift upward like a constellation rising from the deep. It is a slow, shimmering snowfall made of delicate light, each tiny speck a hope carried toward the surface, painting the sea with a fleeting, bioluminescent bloom. This synchronized dance ensures that life continues, a quiet, ancient ritual older than any memory. Now imagine the reef itself, not as a single living thing, but as a sprawling, peaceful city. Its architecture is a wonder of caves and tunnels, of archways and floating gardens woven from colorful sea fans and sturdy branching corals. Every nook and cranny offers a home, a shelter, or a hunting ground. Iridescent nudibranchs, no bigger than a fingernail, crawl slowly over sponges, while graceful sea turtles glide through the larger boulevards. Each creature finds its place, from the tiniest cleaner shrimp to the gentle parrotfish, coexisting in a balanced harmony where space is shared and the rhythm of the reef remains undisturbed. It is a metropolis that never rushes, always moving at a pace as soft as the current itself. Beyond its hidden beauty, the reef serves as a guardian. The great, rolling waves of the open ocean travel for miles, gathering force until they meet this living barrier. Coral reefs are incredibly efficient at absorbing that raw energy, breaking the wave's power into a harmless wash of foam. They act as a soft, natural buffer, a ribbon of life that protects sandy shores and keeps the lagoons behind them calm and still. Where the reef thrives, coastlines remain intact, and the shoreline becomes a tranquil refuge, a place where the water merely laps gently instead of crashing. It is a silent, steadfast embrace that holds the land safe through countless tides. Far below the sunlit gardens, in the deep and quiet reaches of the sea, another world persists. Here, black corals grow in perpetual shadow, their forms stretching out like dark, velvety trees. They exist far from the need for sunlight, filtering sustenance from the cool, silent currents of the abyss. These rare corals can live for over 4,000 years, slowly expanding their skeletons in the darkness, one microscopic layer at a time. To drift near them is to float through a forest of ancient stillness, a place where time itself feels suspended in the deep, patient water. They are among the oldest living beings on Earth, holding centuries of ocean secrets within their dark, graceful branches. As you linger in this underwater world, notice the textures that surround you. The reef is a study in softness and strength, a tapestry where velvet sea fans sway beside the smooth, rounded edges of boulder corals. Your imagined touch might brush over surfaces that feel like silk, then trace the firm, knobby contours of brain coral. The water flows gently over every shape, channeling through crevices and around gentle spires, creating a rhythmic, soothing lullaby. It is a hushed, constant music, a song without words that rocks every creature, from the smallest blenny to the resting octopus, into a state of deep, enduring calm. The reef breathes, and all who dwell within it breathe along. Are you still here, listening in the quiet? That's okay. You don't have to be awake for this. But if you are, the reef still has secrets to share. If you're enjoying this, a like helps other night owls find their way here too. Imagine the vast ocean floor, a world of deep silence and endless blue. Within this immense space, coral reefs cover less than 1% of the seabed. Yet these living gardens support over a quarter of all marine life. It is as if the entire ocean has gathered its brightest wonders into these small, precious places. A floating city of color drifts there, so peaceful and so full of harmony that each creature seems to move in a gentle, shared dance. Some coral colonies are ancient guardians of the sea, growing slowly over thousands of years. These mounds rise inch by inch, century by century, like stone trees reaching for the light. Within their calcium carbonate layers, they hold the memory of the ocean. They are living archives, quietly recording the Earth's long history, from the shifting of currents to the warmth of ancient suns. From the quiet depths of outer space, one living structure on Earth shows itself to the watching astronauts. The Great Barrier Reef is so vast that it appears as a shimmering emerald ribbon winding through the deep blue of the coral sea. It stretches for over 2,300 kilometers, a delicate thread of life visible from the silence of the cosmos. Imagine that distant view, a soft green line painted across the darkness of the water. Down below, the corals share a gentle bond with tiny algae called zooxanthellae. These microscopic guests live right inside the coral tissues like hidden jewels. They give the corals their soft hues of gold and pink, their lavender and their peach. In return, the coral offers a safe, warm sanctuary, a quiet home where the algae can rest. It is a partnership of pure, quiet nourishment. All these great reefs are built by the smallest of hands. Tiny polyps, soft-bodied creatures that look like miniature sea anemones, work together in the stillness. They are delicate, almost transparent, yet they slowly secrete limestone. Day by day, year by year, they construct the intricate cathedrals of the sea. These glowing structures become shelters for countless ocean inhabitants, archways and spires of living stone, all built by the patient labor of these gentle beings. Let these quiet wonders drift through your mind as you rest, a soft reminder of the deep, peaceful world that breathes beneath the waves. Beneath the silver gaze of a full moon, some corals begin a quiet, ancient ritual. It is called mass spawning, a peaceful release of millions of tiny drifting cells into the water. The timing follows the lunar cycle, as if the reef itself breathes in rhythm with the sky. For a brief, magical moment, the sea fills with a gentle, snow-like flurry of pink and white, suspended in the moonlit current. It is a soft celebration of life, barely stirring the stillness of the night. A reef is more than a living city, it is a guardian of calm. Its structure acts as a natural, quiet barrier, taking the strength of the open ocean and dissolving it into gentle ripples. The powerful waves that travel for miles are absorbed by the coral's patient form, their energy softened before reaching land. Beyond this shelter, the sandy beaches lie still and serene, untouched by the roaring depths, cradled in a quiet sleep. The reef holds the boundary between turmoil and peace. Among these formations, the brain corals rest like ancient rounded stones, their surfaces carved into winding, labyrinth-like folds. These heavy shapes seem to ground the seascape, a sense of permanence in the floating currents. Watching them is like looking at a slow thought, a deep memory set in stone beneath the water. They do not sway with the small, quick rhythms but hold steady, a quiet anchor in the drifting blue. Far from the sun's reach, in the twilight zones, a different kind of reef exists. Here, deep-sea corals grow in the cool, dark stillness, needing no light to flourish. These rare forests bloom in velvet blackness, their branches pale and ghostly, swaying with a slow, rhythmic pulse. It is a hidden garden, suspended in the deep current's unhurried breath, where time seems stretched and softened. Life here is a quiet, secret blooming, undisturbed by the world above. The textures of a coral reef are a landscape for quiet dreams. Soft, waving fans move like gentle breaths, while delicate branching fingers stretch out into the calm water. Every hollow and crevice creates a rhythmic pattern of shadows and light, a place of shelter. Here, a small fish can drift into a quiet, sheltered sleep, finding rest among the varied forms. The reef hums with a soft, textured stillness, a lullaby woven from shape and current. Drifting deeper into the ocean's quiet realm, we come to the coral reefs, those silent cities sculpted by tiny, patient hands. Beneath the shimmering surface of the sea, tiny architects called polyps are busy at work. They secrete a crystal substance, calcium carbonate, slowly building glowing limestone cathedrals. Over thousands of years, these delicate constructions rise, forming vast floating cities. Each intricate shape holds a quiet purpose, and together they cradle nearly 1/4 of all marine life. It is a hidden world of gentle motion, a sanctuary sculpted by the smallest of hands. These structures are not built in haste. Each layer is laid with the patience of the tides, season after season, century after century. The reefs become living tapestries, their spires and arches glowing softly in the filtered light. Within this quiet architecture, a gentle partnership breathes color into the stone. Tiny algae, called zooxanthellae, make their home inside the coral's living tissues. Like miniature sun-gatherers, they capture the light that filters down, creating nourishing energy. In return, they gift the reefs with shimmering hues of gold, pink, and emerald. The coral offers shelter, and the algae paint the reef with soft, dreamlike shades. This silent exchange has been happening for ages, a quiet rhythm of giving and receiving that sustains the whole community. The reef glows with a gentle inner light, its colors shifting with the slow pulse of the sea. It is a partnership woven into the very fabric of these underwater gardens, each polyp and alga breathing together in perfect harmony. Now imagine looking down from the quiet stillness of outer space. From that far place, you can see a single living structure, the Great Barrier Reef. It stretches for over 2,300 kilometers, a pale ribbon of light drifting along the coast of Australia. This is not one reef, but thousands of individual reefs and islands, suspended in the deep blue like a quiet constellation. Seen from above, it is a gentle whisper of life, so vast it holds its own quiet presence against the curve of the earth. From that distant viewpoint, the reef seems to float in the ocean, a silent, breathing thing. It has been growing for millennia, a slow accumulation of beauty, and it cradles an entire world beneath its surface. The Great Barrier Reef is a quiet reminder of how much life can emerge from tiny, patient hands. Some of these coral colonies are ancient witnesses to history. Deep in the cool, slow currents, black corals can live for over 4,000 years. They grow with a patience beyond human measure, adding delicate layers year by year. Within their dark living rings, they record the ocean's secrets, the shifting temperatures, the changing chemistry of the sea. These are silent chronicles, drifting in the deep, holding memories of a world long before our own. Imagine a living being that was already old when the first pyramids rose from the sand. These black corals are like timekeepers of the deep, their slender branches swaying in the eternal night. Each ring is a page from a quiet diary, written in the language of the sea.
And these reefs are not just beautiful cities, they are gentle guardians of the shore. When the restless energy of the open sea rolls toward land, the reef absorbs up to 97% of a wave's force. The coral breaks the surge softly, transforming the powerful tide into a gentle lap upon the sand. In this way, it protects fragile coastlines and quiet lagoons, keeping them safe from the ocean's full strength. The reef stands as a quiet barrier, a calm presence that turns turmoil into peace. It is a slow, soothing defense born of the same patience that built the cathedrals. Without this gentle shield, many shores would be worn away, but the reef holds steady, its intricate structure softening the sea's restless heart.
And now, as we drift deeper into this liquid dream, we find ourselves surrounded by the patient architecture of the sea. Brain corals rest here, their surfaces carved into winding, labyrinth-like ridges that gently mirror the folds of a sleeping mind. Each groove and valley catches the filtered light, holding centuries of silent memory in stony, slow-motion growth. These sturdy structures add only a few shimmering millimeters each year, a testament to the quiet, unhurried patience of the deep. On certain nights, when the moon hangs full and heavy above the water, the reef remembers its most ancient ritual. Corals release their tiny, pearl-like gametes in a synchronized moonlit event, a gentle ascent that looks like an upside-down snowfall moving toward the surface. Millions of these drifting spheres float upward, catching the silver light, promising a new generation for the reef in this slow, sacred dance of renewal. In the soft sway of the anemones, there is a tender friendship waiting to be noticed. The peaceful clownfish, dressed in muted orange and white, finds a cozy sanctuary among the stinging tentacles. There is no conflict here, only a quiet understanding, a safe hiding place where the little fish can drift comfortably. The anemone's gentle, rhythmic pulse rocks its tiny companion like a lullaby in the warm blue stillness. If you listen very carefully, the reef shares its own secret music. A quiet, rhythmic soundscape fills the water, woven from the soft clicking of tiny shrimp and the gentle humming of fish moving as one. This distant, delicate chorus serves as an aquatic melody, a guiding lullaby that calls wandering larvae back home from the vast open blue, steering them toward the safety of the reef's embrace. And finally, let your imagination trace the varied textures that build this peaceful architecture beneath the drifting surface. The velvety softness of sea fans sways with a dancer's grace, while the smooth, rounded domes of boulder corals rest like sleeping stone giants. These diverse shapes create a tranquil interplay of light and shadow, a living tapestry woven by time and tide in the hushed heart of the sea. Beneath the sunlit surface, where light dances down in silent beams, a hidden world waits with patient grace. It covers less than 1% of the ocean's vast floor, yet it supports a quarter of all marine life with gentle abundance. This is a floating sanctuary, a realm where countless species drift in peaceful harmony, like notes in a soft lullaby. Imagine the soft sway of life, a quiet community bound by the gentle currents, moving together in a dance of survival. In this shimmering space, every creature moves at the pace of a dream, cradled in the reef's eternal embrace, safe from the world above. Some of the planet's largest living beings are not the whales or forests we know, but the coral reefs that breathe beneath the sea. The Great Barrier Reef, for instance, extends across 2,300 kilometers, a vast arc of life that seems to stretch beyond sight. From the stillness of space, it glows as a delicate turquoise ribbon, a soft whisper on the ocean's skin, almost too beautiful to be real. It is a gentle giant, its beauty unfolding in slow, patient rhythms for those who dream beneath the waves. This living ribbon has been growing for millennia, connecting life in a seamless, quiet chain. In the hidden world below, corals reveal their true nature. They are not plants, but tiny creatures called polyps, each one a soft, flower-like being in the deep. These gentle animals build their homes from calcium carbonate, crafting delicate skeletons that glow in the dim light, like stars underwater. Over hundreds of years, they work in quiet cooperation, each generation layering new stone onto the old with tender care. It is a slow, rhythmic dance of creation, where countless tiny lives weave the massive architecture of the reef, one silent moment at a time, building a legacy of beauty. Their patient work forms the very foundation of this underwater world, a silent gift to the ocean. Deep in the coral's tissues, a quiet alliance thrives with tiny algae known as zooxanthellae. These microscopic partners use the sun's gentle rays to spin energy from light, gifting it to their coral hosts in a tender exchange. In return, they paint the reef with vibrant, glowing colors, shades of turquoise, violet, and sunlit gold that shimmer in the water. This symbiotic dance is a soft, sustaining rhythm, a shared dream that keeps the underwater world radiant and alive. Through this silent partnership, the reef blossoms into a living tapestry of light and life. It is a gentle reminder that even the smallest beings can create extraordinary beauty together. In the silent depths, some coral colonies endure for thousands of years, becoming ancient keepers of the sea's memory. They grow with a soft, steady pulse, expanding only a few millimeters each year, as if breathing in slow motion. These venerable beings have watched the world turn, their patient rhythms a quiet meditation on time, holding secrets of countless ages. Imagine floating beside them, feeling the weight of centuries dissolve into the calm, endless blue. In their presence, you sense a deep peace, a connection to the eternal pulse of the ocean. These corals, ancient and wise, stand as silent guardians of the deep, their slow growth a testimony to patience. As we drift deeper into the calm waters, let us explore the quiet miracles of the coral reefs, the rainforests of the sea. Imagine the coral reef as a quiet sentinel, standing softly between the endless ocean and the resting shoreline. It receives the powerful waves from the open sea, full of restless energy and distant storms, and gently transforms their force into a tender, rhythmic caress. This natural barrier works without haste, absorbing the strength of the water so that the coast can remain peaceful and still. The sea that meets the sand is calmed, its roar reduced to a soothing whisper, a soft breath that washes over the beaches without disturbance. Through this quiet protection, the reef ensures that the land sleeps soundly, cradled in stillness, dreaming under the sun and stars. The reefs reveal themselves in three quiet shapes, each with a serene geometry all its own. Fringing reefs hug the coastline closely, like an affectionate arm draped around the island's shoulders. Barrier reefs stand further out from the land, creating a gentle, sheltered channel where the water rests in calm suspension. But the most tranquil of all are the atolls, those floating rings of coral that form a perfect circle around a lagoon. The water inside is a mirror of turquoise, utterly still and clear, held like a precious jewel within the reef's tender embrace. These atolls float in the open sea, a quiet oasis of peace, offering a sanctuary where time seems to stand still. Deep in the warm waters, the coral performs a slow, rhythmic alchemy, drawing calcium from the sea to build its hard, intricate skeleton. It is a patient dance, without hurry, layer upon layer, creating a complex labyrinth over time. This careful construction forms hidden caves and soft, winding corridors, where light filters down in shifting patterns. Fish explore these quiet passageways, drifting through the shadows and secret chambers, finding refuge in the reef's gentle architecture. Each coral polyp adds its own small gift, building a world that feels both ancient and alive, a breathing structure of limestone. The fish of the reef are painted with the colors of their world, their scales matching the shadows and light of the coral. They have evolved to blend perfectly into the shifting patterns of the reef, their bodies becoming one with the dappled sunlight and the swaying branches. This natural camouflage lets them move unseen through the warm, filtered shallows, a ghostly drift that leaves no trace. They are whispers in the water, their presence only felt when you look very close, otherwise they are part of the reef's living art. In this serene kingdom, even the eyes must learn to see, for the fish are masters of quiet concealment. The underwater world of the reef is filled with a soft, ambient hum, a gentle rhythm composed by the clicking and popping of tiny crustaceans. This soundscape is the reef's own lullaby, a soothing atmosphere that envelops all who listen. For small larval fish, it is a guiding melody, a familiar song that calls them home from the vast ocean. They follow this rhythmic pulse back to the safety of the coral, navigating by the sweet sounds of sanctuary. This continuous whispering chorus is like the breath of the reef itself, a sign that even in sleep, life hums softly, never truly silent. It is a sound that wraps around you, as comforting as a heartbeat, leading you deeper into dreams. You are still here, floating softly on these words. That is beautiful. Just let the calm lagoon and the reef's quiet hum carry you deeper into rest while I keep speaking in gentle tones. Beneath the vast and seemingly endless blue, there exists a fragile underwater garden that covers less than 1% of the entire ocean floor. Yet this tiny realm, this delicate tapestry of life, cradles a staggering 25% of all marine creatures within its gentle, swaying arms. It is a floating sanctuary, a quiet refuge where countless beings drift together in a perfectly balanced dance of existence. Every shimmering fish, every slowly gliding sea turtle, every softly pulsing jellyfish finds its own special place in this delicate harmony. It is a living lullaby, a soft hum of life in the quiet deep, a reminder that the greatest things often come in the smallest packages. Perhaps you have drifted past a reef, thinking it was just a strange, colorful stone, but those formations are built by tiny, tireless architects. These are the coral polyps, small and soft-bodied animals that weave intricate skeletons of calcium carbonate from the water around them. Over thousands of years, generation after patient generation, they layer their fragile homes upon the foundations of their ancestors. Slowly, calmly, they raise vast and softly glowing cities beneath the waves, structures that can stretch for miles. These are not mere rocks but living, breathing communities, a network of countless tiny lives that shimmer with a quiet, ancient light in the deep.
Deep within the soft, translucent tissue of the coral, a quiet and magical partnership is unfolding in peaceful stillness. Tiny algae, called zooxanthellae, take up residence inside this living animal, creating a home within a home, a secret shared space. It is a gentle exchange of nutrients, a calm give and take that sustains both partners in a perfect symbiotic circle. In return for their safe shelter, the algae gift the coral with its most shimmering colors, a living palette painted by the sun's soft brush. They transform the gentle, filtering daylight into a nourishing energy, a silent, steady pulse that keeps the entire colony alive and dreaming in the blue.
Looking down from the silent void of space, a pale blue string of pearls comes into view, suspended on the dark canvas of the ocean. This is the Great Barrier Reef, a living structure so immense it stretches over 2,300 kilometers along the Australian coast. It is not one single entity, but a vast, breathing mosaic made from thousands of individual reefs and hundreds of scattered islands. All of these pieces sway together in the warm, embracing currents, a grand and peaceful tapestry woven entirely from life and time. It breathes and pulses as one, a soft, slow heartbeat visible from the stars, a quiet sentinel in the shifting sea. Some of these coral colonies are masters of deep, slow time, living not for mere decades but for several thousand years. They are the quiet historians of the sea, ancient beings who have watched countless moons rise and empires fall into dust. In their slow and steady growth, they silently record the ocean's deepest memories, laying down a new stony ring with each passing season. These rings whisper the story of changing temperatures and shifting currents, a silent chronicle held within their very bones. To drift beside them is to float alongside a living, breathing archive of the planet's deep, blue past, a story told without a single word. Welcome back, dreamer. Let the gentle currents carry you deeper into the reef's quiet heart. Here, the water holds ancient stories, and every creature moves to a slow, eternal rhythm. Breathe softly, and let yourself be still.
Look closely at the brain coral, and you will see a pattern that seems almost thoughtful. Its surface is a labyrinth of soft ridges and shadowed valleys, winding like the folds of a human brain. These heavy, rounded colonies grow with a slow and steady patience, taking years, decades to form their massive shapes. In their quiet presence, small drifting fish find a reliable shelter, a haven from the open blue. There is a calm intelligence in these ancient forms, as if they hold the ocean's deepest dreams.
Now, watch a parrotfish glide by, moving with a quiet purpose, grazing along the coral to keep it healthy and bright. And here is a gentle secret: as they nibble, they swallow bits of limestone, and their bodies transform this stone into fine, pale sand. They release this sand back into the sea, wave by wave, until it settles onto the soft, powdery floors of tropical beaches. Over time, these become the very beaches where we lie and dream. In this way, the parrotfish is a quiet creator, shaping the edges of the land with every meal. Drift a little higher, into the reef's favorite place, the shallow, sun-drenched lagoon. The water here is warm and still, a turquoise cradle where sunlight pours through, bending and shimmering. It traces slow liquid patterns on the coral below, catching the soft, feathered textures of the sea fans. Every detail is magnified in this crystal clarity, each sea fan a delicate, glowing sculpture. In this quiet haven, the reef feels like it is dreaming under a blanket of light, and time itself drifts away. Look among the corals, and you may notice a sea anemone swaying softly. Its tentacles wave like the fingers of a dream, endlessly reaching into the blue. Tucked within these delicate arms, a tiny clownfish, bright as a drop of sunset, rests in perfect safety. The anemone wraps it in a protective embrace, a stinging fortress that only this special friend can enter. And the fish returns the kindness, cleaning the anemone and guiding fresh water over its body. This quiet understanding, wordless and ancient, is one of the reef's deepest treasures. When the sun finally slips away, the reef does not disappear into darkness. Instead, it transforms into a shimmering world of bioluminescence. Tiny creatures begin to emit a soft, ghostly glow, like scattered starlight in the deep blue. This ethereal light drifts gently, pulsing and fading, guiding the ways of nocturnal wanderers. The water becomes a field of faint sparks, each one a living signal in the vast night. It feels as though the ocean itself is breathing, releasing its innermost dreams into the dark. In this quiet realm, the reef reveals a hidden beauty that only those who rest and watch may see. So drift now, with the reef and its gentle creatures, into a quiet sleep. The ocean will hold you, always. Deep beneath the surface, in the soft blue quiet of the ocean, tiny coral polyps open their arms to the gentle current. They hold within their bodies a secret, a golden-green algae called zooxanthellae. These small travelers live in the tissues of the coral, giving the polyps the gift of light. Through the slow magic of photosynthesis, the algae turn sunlight into energy, sharing it with their coral home. Together they create a living glow, a quiet harmony of color and light that drifts like a dream beneath the waves. Imagine a structure so vast it becomes a continent of life, the Great Barrier Reef. It stretches over 2,300 kilometers, a shimmering tapestry woven by countless tiny hands. This ancient wonder is so large that from the stillness of outer space it appears as a soft, turquoise ribbon tracing the edge of Australia. It is a world of gentle movement, where the reef breathes in the rhythm of the tides, holding centuries of quiet stories in its coral halls. Look closer now at the brain coral, named for the winding ridges that fold like thoughts in a sleeping mind. These slow-growing sculptures rest on the seafloor, their patterns soft and labyrinthine. A single brain coral can live for hundreds of years, quietly passing through the centuries. It watches the ocean change around it, a silent witness to the drift of time, its peaceful form a reminder of the deep, slow pulse of life. How does this hidden world grow? Each tiny polyp draws from the water a mineral gift and begins to build. It secretes a small, sturdy cup of calcium carbonate, a floating fortress of its own making. Over thousands of years, these layers stack softly, one upon the other, like pages in a stone book. The reef rises from this patient work, an intricate foundation of pale architecture that cradles the sea's quietest dreams. And there are helpers in this dream, like the parrotfish. With gentle grazing mouths, they nibble at the algae on the coral, accidentally taking in small bits of limestone. As they digest, they release fine, powdery white sand, a soft cloud that settles slowly to the sea floor. This quiet work creates the pristine white sand lagoons where tropical waters lap with a peaceful rhythm, a gift from fish to shore, drifting through time. As the sun slips below the edge of the world, a quiet transformation begins beneath the waves. Many coral species wait for this moment of velvet darkness, unfolding their delicate tentacles only when the water is calm and still. Like tiny flowers opening to a moonlit sky, they extend themselves softly into the gentle current. Each tentacle reaches out to gather microscopic nutrients drifting by, a silent and patient harvest in the deep sea. It is a slow and beautiful ritual, hidden from the light of day, taking place in a world of pure underwater silence. Every movement is calm and deliberate, a dance with the ocean itself as the reef comes alive in the dark. Picture a sprawling city beneath the waves, one that shimmers and glows with life in every corner, a living tapestry of color and motion. These reefs are often called the rainforests of the sea, and the name is no exaggeration. Though they cover less than 1% of the ocean floor, they provide a warm and sheltering home for a quarter of all marine life. In this underwater metropolis, tiny fish drift through coral corridors and gentle currents carry the soft sounds of a breathing world. The reef is a cradle of existence, a vibrant sanctuary where the ocean's heart beats slowly and steadily, a pulse that echoes through the water. Look closer now and notice the Gorgonian corals, known simply as sea fans. They drift gracefully with the tide, their forms soft and yielding like lace curtains floating in a gentle breeze. Their flexible structures allow them to sway in a slow and rhythmic dance, bending wherever the water leads them. As they move, they filter the cool, salt-kissed waters, sifting out tiny floating particles that pass through their delicate net. There is a timeless elegance to their motion, a hushed ballet performed in the quiet blue depths of the sea, where every sway is a whispered song. In the quietest depths of the reef, a secret light begins to appear, a gentle radiance that comes from the corals themselves. Some of them exhibit bioluminescence, emitting a soft and ethereal glow in shades of neon blue and green. This light does not blaze or startle, it simply is, a calm and steady presence in the dark water. It becomes a pathway for small creatures, guiding them through the midnight waters of the coral garden. Like stars fallen into the sea, these glowing points create a map of wonder and tranquility, a silent lullaby of light that soothes the deep. When you imagine the texture of a healthy reef, think of it as a soft mosaic of spheres and branches and plates, all woven together in gentle harmony. These shapes create a peaceful sanctuary, a quiet hideaway where the smallest beings can find rest. Tiny seahorses curl their tails around delicate branches as shimmering fish drift slowly through the warm, protective spaces. It is a cradle in the water, a soft embrace of living coral that holds life tenderly and keeps it safe. In this gentle mosaic, the reef breathes a deep and calming rhythm, a heartbeat that lulls the ocean to sleep, a steady and comforting sound in the blue stillness. Close your eyes now. Feel the warm, still water. Beneath the surface, coral reefs are secret cities. They cover less than 1% of the ocean floor, but they hold a vastness beyond measure. A quarter of all marine life finds a home here, drifting soft and slow through glowing canyons. The quiet seabed becomes a sanctuary, a warm, shimmering cradle for countless souls. Some of these coral colonies have watched the world for millennia. The Great Barrier Reef is a living memory, stretching over 2,300 kilometers. Its gentle curves weave through the deep, and hidden lagoons lie still and quiet, cradling life in a peaceful, slow embrace. Every curve is a soft breath, a patient whisper across time. Deep within the coral's soft tissues, a quiet friendship holds steady. Tiny algae called zooxanthellae live in that still inner space. They drink the sunlight and turn it into a gentle energy, painting the coral in soft, iridescent colors that shimmer like a whispered dream beneath the waves. A silent, glowing dance that warms the deep. When night falls over the reef, a slow, rhythmic drift begins. Millions of tiny gametes release from the coral polyps, rising in a soft, ethereal cloud through the moonlit water. It is a deep, gentle promise, a secret carried upward by the still ocean, ensuring the quiet breath of the reef continues. Brain corals rest on the seabed, their winding labyrinth patterns, like the folds of a dreaming mind. These slow, patient structures can live for hundreds of years, building their calcium carbonate homes in a deep, enduring embrace. Warm and vast, they hold the stillness of centuries, a soft, steady heartbeat in the dark. Close your eyes and let the softness of the reef wash over you. Let the quiet of the deep cradle you. Breathe slowly and let the reef speak to you in soft, quiet tones. Feel the gentle buffer of the rainforests of the sea, the coral reefs, their vast, intricate arms softening the ocean's restless power. They take each pounding wave and turn it into a quiet, gentle sigh that barely kisses the sand, a deep and soothing murmur. This still, warm protection wraps peaceful coastal villages and sleeping beaches in a soft embrace, a lullaby. The sea whispers without end. It holds everything safe in a deep, blue peace, the oldest lullaby sung in a language of pure, soft movement. Feel the warm, shallow water and drift down to the lagoon. The parrotfish grazes the coral with a gentle, rasping mouth, a quiet artist in the blue light. Later, it releases a fine white sand from its body, a soft, steady rain that settles onto the sea floor. Each grain is a tiny, smooth memory of the reef, warm against the skin. Over deep, slow centuries, this builds the powdery, still floors of the world's most serene tropical lagoons, a bed so soft you could sleep on it forever. It is the quietest form of creation, a whisper of sand from a fish, a gift of stillness from the parrotfish to the lagoon. Now, hide in the coral's embrace. In the warm, shifting light of the reef, life has learned the soft art of vanishing. Bodies are brushed with the same deep hues as the coral, so they drift unseen among the swaying sea fans and porous sponges. This quiet camouflage is a gentle secret, a way to melt completely into the breathing texture of their world. They become part of the vast, still silence that holds everything together, no need for chase, only a deep, still belonging. It is a whisper of color and form, a peaceful hiding in plain sight, a soft, silent grace that needs no sound. Let the water grow cold and dark as you descend. Far from the sun's warm reach, in the deep, quiet darkness of the ocean, cold water corals bloom. They grow into vast, pale gardens that sway ever so slowly in the cool, midnight currents, their branches reaching through the still abyss. These mysterious worlds are the ocean's softest secret, a deep, silent beauty that lives and breathes in the cold, dark water, untouched by any light. They reach for the unseen in a slow dance with the dark. It is a dream of stillness, a vast, gentle swaying in the deep, a lullaby for the abyss, sung without a voice. And now, feel the very bones of the reef itself. The texture of a coral reef is a delicate architecture of calcium carbonate, built molecule by molecule over endless cycles of time. It is a soft, rhythmic accumulation of life, a deep, steady pulse that constructs a permanent sanctuary under the shimmering blue. This vast, still structure is a warm, welcoming home for countless drifting lives, a peaceful kingdom suspended in the quiet sea. It is a quiet prayer built of time and water, the tenderest of monuments, a whisper of creation, a deep, still home that will last forever. Let the stillness of the reef carry you now into a deep and dreamless sleep, where the ocean breathes in soft, endless blue. Good night, sleeping one. Vast beyond imagination, the Great Barrier Reef stretches over 2,300 kilometers, a living mosaic visible from the silent dark of space. From that high, airless place, it is a breath of pale blue and turquoise on the deep, dark skin of the earth. This floating world is made by creatures no larger than a grain of rice. Billions of coral polyps, their soft bodies pulsing gently, working together in a deep and quiet harmony. Each one a tiny, delicate mouth ringed with tentacles, building a structure so immense it defies our sense of scale. A slow construction, layer upon layer, in the warm, shallow sea. You can almost hear the soft, collective whisper of their labor across the water. Deep within their translucent tissues, corals hold tiny algae like secret, shimmering guests. These zooxanthellae give the reef its soft dance of color, shifting greens and golds in the filtered sunlight. They are microscopic gardeners, turning light into food through the gentle alchemy of photosynthesis. The sun's warmth passes from algae to coral in a silent, life-giving touch, a current of energy flowing through the still water. It is a friendship woven in quiet light, a bond so ancient it feels like a dream. You can sense the soft exchange, the coral offering shelter, the algae offering sweetness. Together they paint the reef in hues of rose, amber, and pale lavender, a living tapestry under the surface. By day, they are still as stone, a garden of sculpted colors, but when darkness falls, a quiet transformation begins. Soft tentacles unfurl from every polyp, tiny clear hands reaching into the dark water. These cousins of jellyfish sway in an unseen rhythm, patient and still, like ghosts in the current. They gather the sea's faint whisper of nutrients, a taste of drifting life carried on the tide. Each tentacle is a delicate net, catching the invisible, the microscopic, the passing pulse. A quiet feeding under the moon's soft, distant gaze, the only movement a slow, breathing sway. It is a timeless ritual, night after night, in the deep, dark silence. Some corals grow in slow, layered rhythms, like rings of ancient trees, each band a year of calm and storm. Over thousands of years, they build vast limestone cathedrals beneath the waves. Their spires and arches rise in the deep blue silence, a soft architecture of time, sculpted by invisible hands. Each layer carries a memory of the ocean's ancient warmth and chemistry, a still and silent record of the sea's long history. You can feel the weight of ages pressing gently through those stone bones, a library of the deep. The coral keeps its secrets in the quiet rock, a story written in calcium and light, unread but ever present. They call them the rainforests of the sea, though they cover less than 1% of the ocean floor. Yet a quarter of all marine life finds shelter here, in this crowded sanctuary of drifting shapes and silent colors. Thousands of creatures drift side by side, a calm, pulsing community in the warm, shallow light. Tiny fish dart in shimmering schools, sea turtles glide by with ancient grace, and soft corals bloom like flowers in the current. It is a soft, breathing metropolis where every being knows its place, and the water carries only the sound of stillness. A delicate balance, a web of life woven in the gentle hush of the sea. Here, in the reef's embrace, there is only peace. Hush now. Let the world fall away. I want to share with you some quiet secrets of the sea, whispered only to those who are drifting into sleep. Each one is a gentle touch, a reminder of the deep stillness that cradles our world. On a single sacred night, when the full moon pours its pale light into the sea, the corals begin their ancient rite. Millions of tiny gametes rise like a whispered constellation, a drifting cloud of life so soft and vast, the water turns milky with life, a soft bloom under the moon's silver gaze. It happens just once a year, a night when the entire reef hums with invisible life. It is a moment of perfect, silent abundance, a secret timed by the moon's gentle pull, a quiet promise that only the tides witness. In the sun-kissed shallows, a parrotfish glides like a slow dream. It nibbles the algae with a faint sandpaper sound, gentler than a heartbeat. Fine white sand drifts from its body, settling like snow at the bottom of a warm sea. Each day, the parrotfish shapes the shoreline with its quiet, rhythmic feeding, turning reef into paradise. Over time, that soft powder becomes the beach you walk upon, each grain a silent gift. Close your eyes and feel the warmth of that sand, born from a sleeping creature's gentle work.
Deeper, where the water turns a sleepy blue, a dome of ancient stone curls into itself. Its surface is a labyrinth of quiet ridges, like the folds of a dreaming mind. This brain coral grows so slowly, its every layer a year, a century, a calm, sturdy anchor for the life around it. Trace its ridges with your finger, feel the slow, patient wisdom. It holds a stillness that feels like the very heartbeat of the reef. The fish dart around it, but the coral remains a silent witness to the dance of light and time.
Now sink further into the velvet darkness where the sun never reaches. Here, cold water corals rise like pale, delicate fingers, swaying in the soft, cool currents. They thrive in a realm of total black, feeling the deep, slow pulse of the ocean, a rhythm older than memory. They are the forgotten forests of the abyss, fragile and yet enduring for millennia. There is no rush, only the endless drift, and a quiet beauty that asks for nothing but to be still. This is the deep sea's own whispered lullaby. And as you float back to the sunlit shallows, notice the water itself. It is a warm, translucent turquoise, breathing with the meditative rhythm of the tides. It sways, in and out, carrying invisible nutrients, like a slow, loving sigh. Feel the warmth of that water on your skin, the soft caress of the sea's endless lullaby. The reef sips this gentle offering, keeping time with the moon's pull, a soft pulse that never sleeps. Let your own breath match that rhythm, soft and deep.
All these wonders exist in silence, waiting for you whenever you close your eyes and drift. They are the soft pulse of a world that breathes with the moon and the deep currents. Let them be your lullaby tonight. Now, let these images drift like sand through your mind. You are safe in this vast, soft ocean. Sleep, wrapped in the gentle arms of the tide.
In less than 1% of the ocean floor, vibrant coral reefs float as sanctuaries, offering food and peaceful shelter to countless drifting fish and tiny crustaceans. These are not plants but tiny colonial animals called polyps, each with a soft, translucent body, slowly building glowing limestone cathedrals that become permanent homes for the ocean's most delicate creatures. A symbiotic embrace where zooxanthellae algae live within the coral's tissues, using sunlight to create energy and bathing the structures in breathtaking colors from soft violets to shimmering golds. Stretching over 2,300 kilometers, the Great Barrier Reef is the largest living structure on Earth, visible from the quiet stillness of space as a gentle turquoise ribbon. These slow-growing structures, with winding ridges like a human brain, live for hundreds of years, quietly recording the history of the ocean's changing temperatures into their stony folds. Under a full moon, the reef exhales a shimmering cloud of newborn light. Millions of tiny glowing seeds lifting into the midnight sea, transforming the dark water into a floating galaxy of life. The reef stands as a peaceful barrier, absorbing the open ocean's deep power, so that what reaches the shore is only a soft, slow exhale, keeping the sand smooth and the tropical silence unbroken. Parrotfish graze gently on ancient coral, and with each quiet breath they release fine white particles that sift softly down to the seafloor, building the powdery dunes of untouched beaches. Fringing reefs embrace the shore tenderly. Barrier reefs guard a turquoise lagoon from a distance, and atolls form perfect rings, encircling sunken volcano peaks like a serene crown upon the sleeping sea. Water moves around the reef in a slow circular lullaby, carrying a constant silent rain of plankton to each tiny waiting polyp, nourishing the reef in the cool, dark arms of the deep. And now, our drift through the quiet, hidden gardens of coral comes to a gentle close. You have floated through moonlit clouds of new life, felt the tender shield of the reef, and touched the silken sand born from sleeping parrotfish. Your spirit is soft with the weight of these silent depths, and it is time to let all that wander rest. If this journey beneath the waves helped you find your calm, please leave a like, as light as a seafoam feather on the shore, and subscribe so that I can be here, a quiet voice in the dark, ready to carry you back to the reef whenever you need me. Good night, sleep deep, and remember the reefs, humming their eternal gentle song, just beneath the surface of your dreams. Rest now, everything is exactly as it should be.